Nobody was ready for this. Not the dealers, not the manufacturers, and definitely not the R-Vee influencers who thought they'd seen everything. Korea just delivered a campervan that slices through the industry's biggest problems: inflated pricing, oversized bodies, and decades of recycled designs. Hyundai built a compact rig on a proven commercial truck, engineered for real roads and real travel, not showroom fantasies. And the wildest part? Its price lands so far below the competition that it exposes just how broken the R-Vee marketplace has become. Buyers are cheering, brands are scrambling, analysts are confused. But what Hyundai hid inside this small frame is what truly changes everything. And when you see it, you'll understand why this camper could reset the future of R-Vee travel. A campervan from Korea. Nobody expected. Korea did something the R-Vee world never thought it would see. Without fanfare, without teasers, and without the theatrics Western manufacturers rely on, Hyundai stepped into a market that has resisted newcomers for decades. The surprise was not simply that Hyundai built a campervan. The surprise was that it built one with the discipline, restraint, and engineering logic that many buyers feel the industry has been ignoring for years. When early footage surfaced, the reaction was instant. This was not a half-hearted experiment. It was a direct challenge. For a long time, campervan design has followed predictable formulas shaped largely in Europe and North America. Most companies recycled layouts, stretched bodies wider, and raised prices higher, hoping familiarity would keep customers from looking elsewhere. But Korea's entry broke that rhythm. Hyundai released something clean, compact, and intentional, as if it studied every complaint travelers voiced, and built a platform aimed at fixing them one by one. The industry was not prepared for that kind of disruption. Yet the launch made one thing clear: a new competitor had arrived, and it was not asking for permission. The real surprise, though, is the foundation Hyundai selected to carry this idea into reality: the Porter 2 base. The foundation of this campervan is not a car, not a crossover, and not a repurposed commercial shell. It is the Porter 2, a work truck that has served Korea's delivery fleets, tradespeople, and small businesses for years. This matters because the travel world rarely sees a camper built on a platform with such a deep track record. Instead of chasing sleek aesthetics or marketing buzzwords, Hyundai chose a chassis known first for durability, repair simplicity, and long-term consistency. The Porter 2 has spent years proving itself across dense cities, steep hillside routes, and demanding commercial cycles. Its structure prioritizes straightforward mechanics rather than exotic systems, meaning serviceability remains realistic even far from major hubs. The architecture is tight, predictable, and shaped by real-world labor demands rather than showroom expectations. Those qualities carry over into the campervan, forming a backbone built for daily strain rather than occasional vacations. In an industry filled with platforms stretched to roles they were never designed for, the Porter 2 feels unusually appropriate. It begins with strength before adding comfort, reversing the typical formula entirely. That working-class backbone opened the door to a pricing reveal that stunned the market. If you're finding value in seeing how this unfolds, take a moment to like the video, subscribe for the next breakdown, and share your thoughts below. It helps keep this kind of straight, no-nonsense reporting visible to everyone who needs it. Straight pricing. When pricing details surfaced, the reaction was immediate. The numbers were far below what many viewers expected for a factory-built campervan from a major automaker. Instead of climbing toward the upper tiers of the R-Vee market, Hyundai set prices that undercut many independent builders and even challenged lightly equipped trailers sold without engines. This created a moment of genuine pause within the industry because it exposed how inflated some traditional price structures had become. The reason behind the lower cost is not a mystery. Hyundai applied its mainstream manufacturing discipline to a segment long dominated by boutique production methods. High-volume assembly, supplier coordination, and controlled fabrication environments allowed them to build a complete campervan without the overhead typically baked into Western pricing models. The result is a product that lands in a bracket previously occupied by basic conversions, rather than fully engineered units. Buyers immediately recognized the implication. The market had room to shift downward, And Hyundai decided to be the company to push it. Understanding those numbers becomes far clearer once the meaning behind its name enters the picture, what poorest actually means. The name poorest raised eyebrows at first, but its purpose becomes clear once understood. It is a blend of porter and rest, reflecting a philosophy that prioritizes calm travel over spectacle. Hyundai did not build this campervan to impress with scale or to mimic larger motorhomes. It built it to provide a predictable, disciplined space shaped around real movement, real work, and real roads. The philosophy is rooted in practicality, not branding theatrics. This approach also reflects Korean design culture. Efficiency first, complication last. Every major decision traces back to function rather than flair. Instead of stretching dimensions or layering unnecessary luxury, Hyundai kept the structure lean and focused. The poorest exists to serve journeys that require reliability more than extravagance. It is meant to be lived in without fuss, driven without stress, and maintained without specialized knowledge. In a market where many brands chase superlatives, the poorest does the opposite. It delivers restraint at a moment when travelers are increasingly tired of oversized promises and undersized results. With that philosophy in place, stepping inside the vehicle reveals an entirely different design logic. First steps in. Stepping into the poorest, for the first time, reveals a space that feels noticeably larger than its compact exterior would suggest. That impression comes from deliberate layout decisions rather than illusions or design tricks. Hyundai shaped the interior with a straight, open walkway that avoids the cramped bottlenecks many small motorhomes are known for. By keeping the central aisle unobstructed, movement feels natural from the moment you enter. Ceiling height plays an important role as well. The roofline maintains a consistent rise from front to back, allowing most adults to stand comfortably without crouching. This makes a significant difference during travel days when small motions, like changing jackets or preparing quick meals, become frequent. The vertical clearance paired with clean upper wall lines prevents the enclosed feeling that often comes with compact R-Vee interiors. Line of sight planning contributes further to the sense of space. Windows are positioned to create long visual corridors, and storage cabinets sit high enough to avoid intruding into headspace. Nothing juts into the walkway or narrows the field of view. Once that first impression settles in, the core living space shows why this layout matters on the road. A living area, built for real daily use, not just photos. The living area inside the poorest is built around seating, meant to function daily, rather than simply look appealing in photos. The dinette structure is anchored directly into the vehicle frame, giving the seats stability that matters during long travel days. Unlike lightweight fixtures that loosen over time, these mounts hold alignment even when the road becomes uneven or rough. The seating cushions use dense foam rather than ultra-soft padding, offering consistent support during extended use. This matters when the dinette doubles as a workspace, eating area, or conversation spot on longer trips. Hyundai avoided overstuffed materials that compress quickly, and instead chose components meant for durability. Hardware throughout the living area follows the same philosophy. Hinges, latches, and brackets feel solid rather than decorative, and each remains accessible for inspection or adjustment. The table mount locks securely, preventing wobble that quickly becomes irritating on unpredictable terrain. When parked, the layout encourages interaction without feeling cramped or staged. Altogether, the living area works not because of ornamentation, but because it stands up to real, repeated use. That daily use design sets the stage for a moving element most people never expected to find here: the drop-down bed. The drop-down bed in the poorest operates on a rail and support system engineered to feel stable rather than fragile. Many moving beds in compact motorhomes can feel uncertain when lowered, but Hyundai chose an approach that emphasizes mechanical integrity. The rails run along reinforced tracks, and the lowering motion remains smooth without sudden shifts or uneven pressure points that could undermine confidence. Weight handling is managed through a balanced distribution across a supportive frame. The system is rated to hold adults comfortably, without sagging or lateral movement. This consistency is important on extended trips. where repeated use often exposes weak points in lesser mechanisms. The structure is intended to maintain shape over time, instead of loosening with vibration or seasonal changes. Safety considerations appear throughout the design. The bed locks firmly into a raised position when not in use, keeping it secure during travel. The lowering mechanism includes stops that prevent over-travel, and the controls remain accessible yet out of accidental contact zones. It is a practical system built with long-term reliability as the priority rather than novelty or spectacle. Its engineering is only part of the story, because a far bolder piece unfolds at the rear slide out. The rear slide out of the Poorest functions through a controlled extension system designed to increase usable space without compromising structural integrity. When activated, the rear wall glides outward along guided tracks engineered to maintain alignment under load. The motion is deliberate and measured, avoiding abrupt shifts that could place stress on the camper's frame. The extension relies on reinforced rails and a motor assembly calibrated to operate at a steady pace. This prevents strain during deployment or retraction, even when the vehicle rests on slightly uneven ground. Hyundai designed the mechanism to perform reliably under typical campsite conditions rather than perfect showroom surfaces. Safety safeguards are integrated throughout. The slide-out will not operate unless the vehicle is parked, and the control switch requires intentional, sustained input to prevent accidental activation. The motor stops automatically at full extension or retraction, protecting the system from mechanical overrun. This slide-out adds meaningful interior room, while respecting the limitations of a compact chassis, delivering practicality without overextending the platform. With the structure established, it is time to look at the systems that determine how far you can actually travel. Water systems done the straightforward way. The Poorest approaches its water system with straightforward engineering rather than complex automation, and that choice keeps daily use predictable. The fresh tank, mounted low for stability, supplies a steady flow that does not surge or hesitate when multiple fixtures are used. The plumbing layout keeps lines short, reducing strain on the pump and limiting the chances of pressure fluctuation. This creates a dependable rhythm when washing dishes or preparing simple meals, without unexpected interruptions. Filling the fresh tank is uncomplicated. The inlet sits at a comfortable height, and the venting path prevents backsplash during fill-ups, which helps avoid waste. Draining the gray tank follows the same practical logic, using an accessible release valve that does not require awkward posture or special tools. The process feels deliberate and controlled rather than delicate. Cold weather considerations were built into the design. Key lines sit inside insulated portions of the body, protecting them during seasonal temperature swings. While the system is not fully winterized, it withstands typical chilly conditions without constant monitoring. Overall, the water system operates with steady predictability rather than complexity. Once the water story is understood, the electrical backbone shows exactly how this camper keeps functioning off-grid. Power supply. The Poorest's electrical system centers on a 200 amp-hour battery that provides a practical reservoir for daily travel needs. Hyundai sized the system to support essential loads without making inflated claims. The battery handles lighting, small appliance usage, and electronics with enough margin to prevent rapid depletion during normal routines. Understanding consumption is key to realistic expectations. Items such as the microwave, ventilation fan, and lighting draw consistent, predictable loads. This helps travelers plan usage confidently. Larger appliances reduce runtime more quickly, but the system avoids hidden drains that quietly erode capacity. Wiring routes remain accessible, and the control panel displays information clearly rather than burying it in layered menus or coded symbols. An optional 300-watt solar array contributes meaningful recharge capability in moderate sunlight. It is not designed to replace shore power entirely, yet it slows battery discharge and extends stays between plug-ins. The solar controller integrates smoothly with the onboard electronics, avoiding the calibration issues common in aftermarket installations. Altogether, the electrical system favors steady performance rather than dramatic benchmarks. Those power dynamics come into focus even more sharply when temperature control enters the conversation. If you want the rest of this story as it develops, make sure you're subscribed. These shifts rarely get explained clearly anywhere else, and staying connected here ensures you never miss the details that actually matter before the market reacts. Temperature control. Temperature control in the poorest relies on two dependable components: a diesel heater for cold periods and a roof-mounted air conditioner for hot stretches. The heater draws from the vehicle's primary fuel supply, allowing extended operation without relying on separate canisters. Its output remains even, distributing warmth without wide temperature swings or loud cycling. Airflow strategy strengthens the heater's performance. Vents are positioned to avoid concentrating heat in one corner, and circulation patterns prevent cold spots around the floor. This makes overnight conditions far more predictable when temperatures drop unexpectedly. The roof-mounted air conditioner provides steady cooling without feeling excessively forceful. Warm air is pulled upward and expelled efficiently, assisted by interior pathways that remain unobstructed. Draw cycles stay predictable, and noise levels avoid the harsh tones that lead to fatigue during long operation. Because the unit sits centrally, cooled air spreads throughout the interior without constant manual adjustment. Both systems reflect a focus on functional reliability rather than headline-grabbing numbers. Heating and cooling are only pieces of a larger equation, one that defines true independence from campsites. Off-grid capability. Off-grid capability in the poorest comes from the balance between its water reserves, electrical capacity, and climate systems rather than a single standout feature. Used together with moderate planning, these components allow meaningful time away from hookups without creating stress or forcing restrictive habits. The key is understanding how each resource supports the others. Water supplies typically last several days when used conservatively, supported by efficient plumbing and consistent flow. The electrical system, anchored by the 200 amp-hour battery, handles daily essentials without rapid depletion, especially when paired with the optional 300-watt solar array. Temperature control contributes as well. The diesel heater uses minimal electrical power and extends endurance during cool nights, while the air conditioner, though more demanding, remains manageable within realistic limits. Off-grid travel becomes a matter of rhythm rather than sacrifice. None of the systems are oversized, yet none feel inadequate when used thoughtfully. Together, they form a predictable and steady foundation rather than a fragile or overpromised setup. This creates a practical baseline for extended stays away from established campgrounds. After seeing what it can handle alone, the practical limits finally come into view. Real drawbacks. The poorest's narrow footprint brings genuine advantages on tight roads, but it also introduces limitations that become noticeable during longer outings. The reduced width restricts how freely you can move inside, especially when two people pass each other in the central walkway. This is not a flaw in engineering, but rather a trade-off that accompanies compact exterior proportions. When multiple daily routines overlap, such as cooking while another person prepares gear, the available floor space grows noticeably tighter. Storage capacity follows the same practical pattern. Cabinets and compartments are well organized, yet they cannot match the volume found in larger R-Vee platforms. Packing for extended travel requires deliberate choices rather than broad flexibility. Bulky equipment must be minimized, and seasonal clothing often demands rotation rather than full inclusion. The vehicle's layout rewards discipline, while discouraging clutter, making efficient packing essential. These limitations are neither hidden nor surprising, but they remain part of the ownership reality. Understanding them ensures smoother travel and more realistic expectations before heading out. Physical boundaries are only half the picture, because real travel also depends on how the engine behaves. Engine truth. The 2.5-liter diesel engine delivers steady performance rooted in torque rather than top speed. Its power band is tuned for predictable pull, allowing the vehicle to climb moderate grades without abrupt downshifts or hesitation. The engine feels comfortable when accelerating from low speeds, and its consistent torque delivery supports calm, controlled driving in changing terrain. This predictability helps reduce driver fatigue during longer travel periods. However, the engine does reveal its limits when conditions demand rapid acceleration or high sustained cruising speeds. Passing on steep inclines requires planning rather than impulse, and the engine prefers relaxed pacing on open highways. It is not designed for aggressive merging or fast climbs, and pushing it in those scenarios simply produces more noise rather than meaningful additional thrust. The vehicle moves best when driven patiently rather than urgently. The engine excels at steady endurance while falling short in scenarios requiring immediate power. Recognizing these characteristics leads to smoother, less stressful travel. Once the driving character is understood, the type of journey this camper truly fits becomes unmistakable. This camper fits certain travel styles. The Poorest aligns well with travelers who prioritize measured pacing and structured routes. For regional trips, scenic tours, or multi-day drives with predictable stops, its layout and systems feel appropriately balanced. The interior supports 2 adults comfortably, and short excursions with an additional traveler remain workable when routines stay organized. The vehicle's calm driving manner also suits itineraries that emphasize steady mileage rather than constant repositioning. Long-distance expeditions introduce different demands, when extended stays require greater supplies or broader interior movement. The compact layout begins to feel restrictive. Families seeking generous personal space or frequent gear rotation may find the limits more apparent. Terrain also influences suitability. Smooth pavement and rural highways match the vehicle's strengths, while demanding mountain routes or frequent steep grades require patience due to the diesel engine's modest power delivery. The Poorest is most effective when used intentionally, with realistic expectations regarding space, travel rhythm, and daily flow. It rewards thoughtful planning rather than spontaneous expansion of trip scope, encouraging travelers to approach each journey with a steady, measured mindset. When routes are selected carefully and daily routines stay organized, the vehicle's strengths become clear and dependable. Its layout supports a calm pace that suits scenic drives, structured itineraries, and practical overnight stops. By embracing a purposeful style of travel, owners experience a platform that performs reliably without demanding constant adjustment or compromise throughout longer stretches on the road. Every travel style points toward a bigger shift, one that the entire RV world is beginning to feel. What this camper signals about the future of practical RV travel. The arrival of the Poorest reflects a broader shift within the RV landscape toward compact, efficient platforms that favor usability over spectacle. Many markets are beginning to step away from increasingly oversized models, recognizing that smaller vehicles can deliver meaningful capability without the weight or complexity of traditional designs. Hyundai's approach highlights a philosophy that blends measured engineering with practical limitations, signaling that future offerings may follow similar principles. This move aligns with evolving global preferences. Cities continue to tighten space constraints, fuel considerations remain important, and travelers increasingly value rigs that handle everyday roads without stress. The Poorest demonstrates how a compact form can still deliver the essentials while avoiding unnecessary bulk. It stands as a sign that manufacturers are rethinking what travelers truly need, rather than chasing ever larger floor plans. Its design shows that practicality, efficiency, and restrained engineering can coexist without diminishing the travel experience. The trend it represents is not about downsizing for its own sake, but about building RVs that function with purpose, remain financially reachable, and respond to how people actually travel today. By focusing on thoughtful proportions, sensible systems, and predictable behavior on the road, it signals a shift toward vehicles that earn trust rather than demand accommodation. This approach reflects a broader movement in modern mobility, emphasizing clarity, durability, and long-term usability over marketing flair or unnecessary complexity for travelers seeking reliability today everywhere. And that's Hyundai's Camper, the shock move Korea just fired at the entire RV industry. Now I want to hear from you. Would you buy this rig? Or is the RV world about to fight back? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this breakdown opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next big shift shaping RV travel. Trust me, the shakeups are only getting started.